What if pain isn't the problem, but actually the pathway back to you? You're listening to The Leadership Wound, From Pain to Permission. I'm Amanda Rohr, your host and founder of Authentically You, coaching for embodied spiritual living and leading. This is where we get honest about the real cost of leadership, the burnout, the pretending, the rejection, and the return to your authentic self. Because this isn't about performance, it's about permission. Welcome to the leader you've always been. Have you ever walked into a space and before you saw anything, you felt that something had changed? Maybe it was the smell of fresh coffee or the candle burning or flowers placed in someone's room, or maybe it was a new diffuser that you were trying out. There's this moment where you don't even need to see it, but you just know something here is different. There's a moment in scripture where that happened. Mary walks into the room carrying a jar of an expensive perfume, and she pours it out on the feet of Jesus. And John tells us something so specific, and that is that the house was filled with the fragrance. Not just the space around her, but the whole house was filled. And what's so powerful about that moment is that Mary understood something that no one else in the room did. She sensed what Jesus was about to do before it was visible for everyone else to see. And instead of trying to explain it or justify it or even fully understand it, she embodied it. She poured out what she had, and the fragrance filled the house. Sometimes leadership looks like this, not building something from a perfectly clear plan, but recognizing what God is already doing around you and having the courage to respond. Welcome back to The Leadership Wound. This is the place where we have conversations about the hidden cost of leadership, from pain to permission. And today I'm so excited we're beginning a brand new series. And we're starting with When God Plants a Vision in You. Now I want to say this from the very beginning. This series is a revealing, but it's a slow revealing. Over the next few episodes, I'm going to begin sharing a vision that God has been planting in me for over a year. And part of that includes something really specific. Doug and I recently signed an agreement to purchase a property in a space that was a staple in the Palmyra community for over 40 years, formerly known as Cinderella's. And what's beginning to form is something much bigger than a business or an entrepreneurial adventure. A co-vocational model of ministry that integrates a resale boutique, a cafe, coaching practice, and a non-traditional microchurch community, all designed to create a space of belonging, restoration, and transformation. But here's what I want you to hear. This vision does not replace anything that I'm currently doing. It actually brings everything together. This podcast, my coaching work, my heart for leadership and formation, for working with leaders and entrepreneurs, it's all connected. And what I've come to understand is that the vision was never the goal. And maybe this is for you too. The vision is never the goal. One of the things I've been realizing over the past few years, both personally and through coaching leaders, is this. It is that we are always being formed. It's not a matter of if we're being formed or when we're being formed. It's what is forming you. Every day, our thoughts are forming us. Our habits are forming us. Our environments are forming us. We don't always have a framework for intentional Jesus-centered formation. We know how to believe, we know how to learn, but we don't always know how to practice the way of Jesus. And following Jesus has never been about trying harder. It's always about training differently. It's about the practices that we put into play. Our daily intentional returning. My yearly goal for 2026 comes from Romans 12:2. Let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. But what does that actually mean in the practical world? Because renewing your mind is not just about reading a verse, listening to a sermon, or hoping the next memory verse sticks. It's actually the practice of noticing your thoughts and then return to the truth of who God is, who He says you are, and the people around you. Again and again and again. And what we now understand is that when we do that, we are literally rewiring our brain. Spiritual formation is not just spiritual, it's neurological, it's physical, which is why this work is so central to leadership, because the way you think shapes the way you lead. Over the last year, there's been one thought that God has been continually, deeply rewiring in me, and it comes from Revelations. It's this: God is the one who opens and closes the doors of my life. What God has prepared for me cannot be taken away by people or circumstances. That thought has become an anchor for me. Because if that's true, then I don't have to force anything. I don't have to strive. I don't have to panic when something or someone doesn't do what I want, because what God opens, no one can close. And what God closes, no one can open. So instead of trying to control outcomes, I've been learning to return to that truth. I've been learning to pause, to return, and then to embody the truth of who God is and who He says I am. In January of 2025, I was on a spiritual retreat in Miami, and in that space, something shifted. It wasn't a full blueprint that God downloaded. It wasn't a strategic plan. It was more like a seed that He was planting within me, a sense that God was planting something deep within me, a vision that integrated business, community, formation, and faith. And I remember thinking, I don't fully understand this or how this will come to be, but I know that this is something. And here's what I've come to realize since that download that God gave me, and that is the vision was never the goal. The vision was never the goal. It never is the goal. The goal is always intimacy. The goal is formation. The goal is becoming the kind of person who can carry what God is planting in me. Because if you receive a vision without becoming the person who can hold it, the vision becomes heavy. It becomes pressure. It becomes something that you have to prove and make happen. And let me just stay here for a moment, because this is the part that we don't talk about enough. We celebrate the vision, we celebrate the clarity when it comes, or the bold moves that we make. We even celebrate when someone steps out and builds something. But we don't always talk about what it takes internally to carry what God gives you. Because here's what I've noticed in myself. When God first planted this vision in me, there was a part of me that wanted to immediately strategize. I wanted to figure it out, organize it, name it, move forward, figure out the pieces and the people who were going to be a part of it. And none of those things are bad in and of themselves. But what I've come to recognize is that impulse in me that seems so natural wasn't always coming from a place of trust. Sometimes it was coming from a subtle need to secure it first. I have to make sure this will happen, to make sure it won't slip away, to make sure I didn't miss anything, to make sure I did it all right and perfect. Can anyone resonate with me? And that's where the deeper work began with God and me, because God wasn't just giving me a vision. He was inviting me into a new way of relating to Him. And I also want to say this, because the in between wasn't inactive for me. It wasn't like I was just sitting there twiddling my thumbs. I wasn't sitting and waiting and doing nothing. There were real, practical things that helped me walk this out. And one of the most significant things was when my husband encouraged me to write down. He said, "Why don't you just begin by writing down the vision that God has given you? Pen to paper, put the words down, not to act on it, not to finalize it, not to strategize about it, but just to begin writing and dreaming, to give space for the act of listening to what God is saying." And that became such an important practice for me. I would sit with my thoughts, my ideas, let the vision begin to take shape on paper without feeling the pressure to secure it or implement it. And what that did is it gave me space to be with the vision without rushing to accomplish the vision. It allowed me to process it out loud, to notice what resonated, what stayed, what faded, what was important, what was unimportant. And over time, those thoughts became familiar, grounded, integrated into my thoughts. And honestly, the slower pace was one of the greatest gifts of this process. It reminded me over and over that the goal is not the vision. The goal is being with Christ as he forms me for the vision. Because in a world that moves fast, slowing down feels uncomfortable. It kind of feels like you're falling behind, like you should be doing more than what you're doing. Slowness, though, creates space for depth. And depth is what allows you to carry something meaningful. Because when it does become time to take the steps, to have those conversations, to move forward with a property, to begin sharing the vision, I wasn't scrambling. I had my thoughts already formulated in my head. God and I had already spent time with them, wrestling with them, allowing him to change my thoughts and lead me in directions that were peaceful, that were in his will, that were right in line with where he was moving. There's a difference between receiving a vision and trying to control the outcome of that vision. And if I'm honest, God has been gently, consistently confronting that within me. Because if I do truly believe God has prepared the way for me and no one and nothing can take it away, then I don't have to grip it so tightly. I don't have to rush ahead in it. I don't have to say yes to the first opportunity that comes knocking on my door. I don't have to force the doors open. I don't have to perform to prove that I'm ready. I can actually walk hand in hand with him. And I know that sounds simple, but it's not always easy because trust often feels slower than striving. And this is where it gets deeper into our identity. Because what God has really been doing within me, what God is doing within you as he is forming you as a leader, is he's not just shaping what he's building. He's reshaping who I believe that I am. He's moving me from striving to trusting, from performing to abiding and staying with him, from figuring it all out to have all the clarity. I need to have clarity now, to walking it out with him, step by step. And that shift has required me to return again and again and again to truth. And this is where I want to speak directly to you as a leader, because so many leaders are waiting for clarity, waiting for the next step, waiting for the plan. But the deeper question might be, who are you becoming as you wait? Because leadership is not about what you build. It's about the person that you are becoming as you build it. So this series, it's not just about the vision that I'm going to reveal that God has given to me and my husband. It's about what happens before the vision becomes visible. There is so much happening under the surface. It's about formation, discernment, and learning how to recognize when God is planting something in you. In the next episode, we're going to talk about how do you actually learn to hear and recognize the movement of God before you act on it. Because sometimes the most important leadership skill isn't strategy, it's listening and discerning. Thanks for tuning in to The Leadership Wound. I'm so glad you're here. I'm excited to continue this journey with you. If you're ready to stop performing and start leading authentically, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you're an entrepreneur, a leader, or just someone who recognizes that God has placed a vision in them and you want someone to walk alongside with you, check out my website, authenticleadershipcollective.com, for more inspiration, resources, and a chance to work with me as a coach. And if you're interested and intrigued by our new entrepreneurial expedition, check out the website for my new boutique, thereclamationboutique.com. Until next time, lead like you. If you've been sensing you're ready for the next step, more clarity, more living and leading with peace and freedom? Then start here. Download your free Authentic Leadership Starter Bundle at AuthenticLeadershipCollective.com, including 10 traps that keep leaders stuck, an 8-minute morning meditation to reconnect with God, plus practical tools to realign with your true self. And if you want support turning this into real lived change so you can live and lead like you, book a free call with me so you can begin today living and leading authentically.